Steph here, welcome to this live video feed. Thank you so much for being here. How is everyone this evening? How is everyone today? How are we all feeling? Just adjusting, putting in the microphone. As I forgot to do it prior to coming on, which is a little bit unlike me. One moment, please. Okay, cool. As you are coming on, please feel free to. I'm just going to invite my man Mark. Hold on a moment, because Mark and I are going to do a live feed together today, but we are doing it a little bit differently. We are doing it from afar. That is the wonder of technology. Yeah. So I'm just inviting Mark now. Let's hope that's worked. As you're coming on, let me know that you're here. Place a number 1 in the comment box, and let me know that you are on. That would be wonderful. Let's see if this live feed works with Mark coming on board as well. We hope so. So, what we are speaking from. Hi Kylie, how are you? Thank you. Anastasia, welcome. So Chloe, welcome. So number 1 in the comment box, let me know that you're here, of course, which is perfect. And we go from there. And if you're new to these live feeds, please let me know that you're new. Please let me know. Let us know. Nicole, welcome. Let the community know that you're new by placing new in the comment box. Matt, how are you, brother? Welcome. Thank you, Amanda. Hello. And Mark, welcome, brother. I have invited you. So Rachel, hello. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me invite you again. See if that works. No, it says that it's been sent. So we're good. Just need to get you on board. So hoping this is going to work. So we're speaking to self-love. We're speaking to self-worth. We are speaking to practices of vulnerability. We are speaking to self-care practices. We are speaking to very openly what it means to care about self, what it means to be connected to self. Just one moment. Just trying to get Mark on board here. Hold on. Working. It's coming on. Mark's coming on, which is good. So the reason why Mark is coming on is because we obviously want to speak to this together. There he is. He should be coming on. Mark, how are you, brother?
Good, man. Can you hear me okay?
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yeah, very well. I can hear you, brother, yeah. Cool. I might actually put my earphones in as well to make it a little bit probably cleaner for you as well, and cleaner for the audience too. Can you speak, Mark, for me?
Hi
awesome.
Guys, give a little thumbs up if you can hear me okay. I might do the same.
Yeah, Joni, how are you, my dear? How are you? So good to have you on board. Just give Mark a thumbs up if you can hear him, of course, and me as well. So let us know that you can hear us both, because we are trying this for the first time, and I'm hoping it's going to work okay. I think it will. It looks like it is. We're getting a good response. Yeah, awesome.
Oh.
Very good. So, Mark, what I was saying was, as we were coming on, is that we're speaking to self-love today. We're speaking to self-care. We're speaking to vulnerability, to openness, openness with self, of course, openness with our loved ones, and what this actually means for evolving the quality of our lives and evolving our connection to self and our own health and wellness and well-being. Because often in life we use the terms health and wellness, and we use the terms well-being, and most of us immediately have this connection to the physical health, or physical wellness, or physical well-being. And whilst that is so deeply important, just as important as emotional, spiritual, and psychological health, they often get pushed, and relational health, that often gets negated a little bit in preference of the tangible, of the very physical, the very material. And Mark, you obviously you're a leader in this area with respect to physical health and wellness. Glenn, no, he's not live from my bedroom. He's live from his bedroom. Although he's more than welcome to go sleep in my bedroom, that's cool too. No. So, Mark, you being a leader in this field, in this area, tell me a little bit about what you feel when we speak to self-care and self-love, and not only in the realm of the physical, but beyond that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think from a human standpoint, it's the mental game that we really need to master. It's the mental and the emotional, and that close, sometimes turbulent relationship between both. And once you get those in check, usually you can ascend and evolve to the spiritual side of things. I think it's important to have that soul and the connection to source and place. We're sharing bedrooms and we're sharing headphones according to the comments. Brilliant. Hold on, just so we're not... There we go. So there's not any confusion. So yeah, I think it's a kind of typical linear trajectory and linear path that we go on. That first of all, it's the physical body we look after. Then usually as we get a little bit older and maybe not so wiser, when we allow ourselves to be pulled out of balance from other people's opinions or experiences or environments or whatever the variables may be, we start to master the inner game a little bit more. And usually that mastery comes by being a master of disaster, first and foremost, and then you rebalance it. And I think that's probably, that'll strike a chord with a few people, but I think that's definitely been prevalent in my journey. I'm called the self-mastery chef, and we're told that we teach what we most need to learn. And I think, as you know, quite intimately, mate, over the last couple of months especially, it's been that inner game with myself. It's been a little bit turbulent, it's been a little bit absent, and it's had that physiological compounding effect where I don't really feel or look overly healthy or well just now. And I think that's what I'd said earlier in the post, though, that I'm at a stage now where the spiritual health and that connection to source is allowing me just to sit in that. For years I would have had to have looked a certain way, I'd have to be wearing certain clothes, I would have to be posturing myself in a certain way, whereas right now I'm saying, you know what, it's okay just to hold your hand up and have that point of really relatability with people and just say, life's kind of getting in the way a little bit just now and I'm struggling. I think a lot of mothers will could probably relate to that, because they're physiological, they're tired because they're pulled down because they've got all these other people to look after. But I think in business, as an entrepreneur, your physiological health will be impacted, because mentally and emotionally we can just get fried when we try and be of service to so many people. So to bring it back to your question, mate, definitely physical health is usually the first step for people, but I think it's that really intimate relationship between the mental and the emotional that we really need to tap into, and then from there and get into that place of self, maybe forgiveness of self and connection back with source and our spirit.
Yeah, beautifully said, brother. So when we're looking at self-love, and actually I'll come to self-love in a moment, but you said something interesting about mastering the disaster, or master the disaster. And through my own personal experiences in particular, I've had to go to the depths of pain, to the depths of my own personal suffering, to the depths of really darkness and the unknown, to deeply understand self as a whole. So that's become a very deeply interesting journey on so many different layers, because as we go into the aspects of self that, and I'm sure many people can relate to this in varying capacities, as we go through and into the aspects of self that really are quite daunting and quite dark and scary. They're very scary. There is so much to fear in the unknown, yet there is so much to welcome in the unknown. There is so much to welcome in the mystery, yet there is so much to simultaneously fear in the mystery. And the fear is okay. The fear is not a bad thing. So at its simplest form, self-love is a very deep state of appreciation and gratitude for oneself that really grows from actions that support our physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual growth. Self-love is something that is dynamic. Self-love is not static. It grows by the action we take towards ourselves that help us mature, spiritually mature, and evolve our being. Now, self-love, from that point, can really, like a true, honest, open self-love can really only take place when we begin to embrace the wholeness of who we are. There you go, Joni. You beat me to it. You read my mind, my dear. The shadow. Yeah. We've got to do the shadow work. We've got to go deep within all aspects of self. Yeah. Because when we do that, we cultivate this profound sense of wholeness, this profound sense of fullness. And it is only in fullness that we are able to act in integrity and in very deep self-love. Lana, absolutely. We cannot discover self without the darkness. The darkness is simply part of us. It is neither bad nor good. The way we interpret events or experiences in our lives really determine how we feel in life, and they determine our sense of self-worth and self-being. But all events that we actually experience are simply neutral. So it's understanding this process of self-love, this dynamic process of self-love that's so important. So when we expand self-love within us, we begin to accept with greater efficacy and greater clarity our perceived weaknesses. Not only our strengths or what we value deeply within us, in other words, our light, but we also begin to value our darkness because we are able to observe just that value in it, actually. We're able to observe great depth of power in that. And we don't need to explain our shortcomings. We don't need to explain our deficits. We have this compassion for ourselves. We have this deep empathy for ourselves that we're able to then pass on to others. It's a profound feeling, actually. In fact, it's quite liberating because we cease to live in this fragmentation and we cease to live in this pain, this dense pain, this isolation almost, because we're isolating ourselves. We're isolating ourselves from aspects and parts of ourselves, and we can't really, truly, fully love ourselves. And instead of struggling to find personal meaning, we are actually full in our personal meaning, because we are full in our personal meaning because we're accepting the fullness of who we are, everything. So, Mark, I'd love to, in that fulfillment, in that meaning, and that connection to self, I'd love you to expand on that, if you could, please, in whichever way you would feel would benefit what I've just said. Then add value to that, brother.
No, I think, as always, mate, beautifully articulated. But as we know, mate, it's everything that shapes our reality is our perceived. It's through the polarized senses that then kind of distort that perception. And as you say, quite rightly said, everything's complete, everything's whole, everything's full, everything's love. But through certain experiences or traumatic experiences of the past, or maybe not so pleasant struggles of the present, that then can take us off. And all it is just trapped energy. It's nowhere to go. Once we see it in the holistic picture, we can then rebalance those emotions and those perceptions and get it back in there. And to get that energy charged back up, similar to what you said, it's a part of what you were talking about. I call it the AAA batteries. And that is awareness is number one, is the first A, because if you're aware of it, you're conscious of it. So you're not denying it anymore. That's the first step. Once you're aware, you then accept that what you continue to fuel it with can be true or false. If you're seeing it and this is a bad thing, you need to accept that if you continue to fuel that, you're only going to get more of that. So you've got the acceptance part where you need to accept the other side, and then once you accept it, it's having to put it in action by allowing it. So awareness, acceptance, and allowance is the AAA batteries I try and use to get that trapped energy released again, so that you're not having that distorted version of your reality. You're actually back and balance and completion and unity and wholeness and that full quantum state of love again. And from there, we can actually get back to living in our values. But it's like the chicken or the egg. I think you can go the long way round, and you can have the AAA batteries to get your values back, and you can just go to source and start living in your values again, and then it dissolves itself. I think that's where you touched on it with the text message you sent me yesterday morning, which I've no problem sharing. You said you've got a lot of this trapped tension, brother, that you need to get out, because I've just been in that entrepreneurial mindset of doing. You can't. We talk about state of beings, but if your go-to state of being is to do constantly, you're behind a laptop, and you blink before you know it. It's went from 5:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. That's why I'm a big fan of habitual morning routines and starting your day by putting something in the tank first. But with certain projects like Nexus, for example, that was like a short-term thing, but even in that small window of a couple of months build up and then the delivery, it became a learned habit. And then once we finished, I've still been on that autopilot bit. So you made a brilliant point about you need to release that tension. And Mitchell Behan of MJB had said that a lot of people put themselves in this label, this box of being depressed or having depression. And I don't want to go too deep in that, because there'll be people that are going through bigger trials and tribulations than myself, and I don't want to poke the bear here, but he says depression is just when you're not, it only exists when you're not living in your values. And you can either perpetuate that by trying to, oh my God, I've got depression, or you can just go, do you know what, who am I, what do I love, and why am I not doing it? So when you said about the tension thing, I was like, do you know what, let's just move the body some way, shape or form. You checked in with me this morning, how's things? I said, mate, I feel night and day. I was along the coast yesterday, I crawled along, just a little jog, but it wasn't about, and that was growth in myself. It wasn't like the old Mark, like where
it's taming the ego. You're mastering the ego.
Yeah, massive, mate. Because we get caught up in the past kind of podium finishes that we've had, and we hold ourselves ransom to that level of attainment or achievement. We're constantly overachieving past that. We're growing every single day, as long as we're balanced enough in mind to see that. So I enjoyed it. I was just hearing the ocean crashing in and down. There was a lot of kind of tourists. I think there's some whales up and down the coast here just now, or dolphins or something. And
Brother,
you just
I
feel
like crying when you say that.
Yeah, you just feel, what the hell are you worrying about, man? Do you know what I mean? Just bring it back to basics.
Always.
Breathe, good high vibrational food, do the stuff that you love, surround yourself with people that care about you and you care about them, and try and give back more than you're taking. Repeat.
Brother, so beautiful, Mark. Adrian, thank you for your comments. Carol, beautiful comments as well. Rachel, awesome. Look, it's, you know, you're speaking my language, brother. You're speaking, you know, like these basics are just so fundamental. So when we're speaking to self-care and self-love and wholeness, self-care and self-love coming from a perspective of wholeness, it's so important. Can we give Mark a number 2, please, for what he's just expressed and said, which is just really beautiful, and really, really deep as well. Like just profound. The simplicity in that is we're bringing our bodies back to basics, and what happens is, what we need to understand is that as human beings, there's many ascetic practices and ideologies and philosophies and so forth that discard the body. They want to transcend the body. In tantric philosophy, we don't do that. We don't transcend the body. And in many different ideologies and philosophies as well, and esoteric practices and wisdoms, it's not about transcending the body, because no body, no mind. No mind, no anything. So we need the mind. The mind is so important. Everything that exists within our realm of consciousness has deep value. Yeah? It's about mastery. It's about connection. It's about full embodiment. So I want to read, before I read you something, I'm going to read you something from a particular book that I'm currently engrossed in. Before I read you that, Mark touched on those self-care practices that we were talking about, that we were speaking to this morning. And those self-care practices were about Mark feeling he needs to release some tension. We were having that discussion the last couple of days with respect to, what do we do? What are our practices, Mark and I? How do we go about just connecting to basics, connecting to self? And some of my self-care practices, which is something that we're going to share deeply in greater depth and in greater detail on our retreat coming up on the 8th of September, is one of them is being physically present with self. So we want to release tension from the nervous system that is hindering us or perceived to be limiting us. There are a number of ways to do that. One is just move. Just move. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go for a swim. Crawl. Do some animal flow movement, calisthenics. Go to the gym. Go for a jog. Cycle. It doesn't matter. Just move the body with intention, with a specific intention to release. Francesca, number 2 means. In this case, it just meant what Mark had spoken to. If you were in agreement with that, just pop a number 2 in the comment box. That's all.
Just throw it
for
in.
Engagement.
Just throw it in. Throw it in, Francesca.
Just throw number 2.
You agree?
So one of those is just movement. Just really move. Another thing that we can do, a practice that we can engage in is a practice of mindfulness. So really beginning to connect to the body. So for example, if you're having a shower, place your hand on the shower and just begin to feel the water making contact with your skin. Begin to connect your senses, your perception with your physical body. Now, this might sound really simple, but what it does is it begins to bring wholeness into the self. Because when we are stressed or when we are in tension or even when we are experiencing relived trauma, we feel disconnected from our bodies. We feel disconnected from our emotions, from our mind, from everything, yeah? And Mark mentioned as well, surround yourself with good people. Good people meaning people that are aligned with you, people that relate to you, people that understand you, that connect, that feel you. If you feel you need to be around people, but have that balance of also being on your own, having some time, quiet time, silent time, stillness, because in stillness,
reflect.
we able to reflect, we find so much. We discover so much about ourselves. But also is just to be present with self, yeah? So, Mark, if there's something you want to add to that, brother, please do, because I've got something that I want to read at the moment, but it can wait. There's no rush, yeah?
Yeah, I actually had a good goal-setting strategy, I feel like, came to me just quite organically earlier on. When you talk about the shower, I love being in the shower in terms of audio, podcasts, or sometimes I actually just sit in it and I just let the water bounce off me. And I use that as a kind of meditative practice and just let it go all the way right through. And sometimes the water seems to be a really calming element for me. When I feel anxious and a little bit on edge, I'll either walk to the beach or I'll just dive in a shower and I just sit and I just let it immerse myself. But this morning, instead of writing down what my 7 high priority action steps were for the day, I went into the shower first. And I went, you know what, I'm going to do it here. And this is a brilliant way of not obsessing about it because of the steam of the shower. And it takes you back to being a kid when you used to draw happy faces on the shower and things like that. I started writing them down there. And it's probably the easiest, most natural way to set and forget because you see it. And then within seconds, the condensation just takes it away and you can't see it again.
Beautiful.
And I was like, do you know what? That's a cool little hack, if you like, to share with people. Just jot it down while it's in your head. And then there's just the natural processes and science just takes it away and just it starts with nothing and goes back to nothing. Wonderful. Beautiful comment as well, Rachel. That's wonderful. And on the shower thing, while we're speaking to showers, while we're sharing bedrooms, earphones and showers, we're something that's really cool to do as well is a sensory deprivation technique or practice where in the evening, if you're having a shower at night time, is close all the lights so there's complete darkness in your bathroom. I love that. And just be under that water. Just feel it, connect to it, really immerse yourself in what is happening without your, even close your eyes as well, without your vision. Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing. Will, thank you so much, brother. We'll see you again soon. So it becomes this process of deep connection to self. Now, what I want to speak to, I want to read you something that is really deep. So I'm going to
I'm going to do my best to emphasize some of the main points here. And it comes from a book, Tantra Illuminated, by Christopher D. Wallace, one of the greatest books of all time, to be honest with you, in varying capacities. But this particular paragraph is speaking to the impurity of differentiation. And we're speaking to wholeness, we're speaking to recognizing wholeness, okay? Wholeness within the self, because when we're able to recognize wholeness within the self, again, we're able to love ourselves deeper. And it's easy for us, for Mark and I, to speak to self-love and self-care, but unless it's experiential, unless it comes from a deep, deep place of experience, it's not as powerful as the spoken word. Don't get me wrong, the spoken word carries a great deal of weight in varying facets. But what's super cool with this is that we begin by understanding. We begin with the mind, we begin with the words, and then we cultivate a deeper sense of the meaning by embodying it, by practicing it, by bringing it into our body. So let me begin. The fundamental form of the Maya Mala is subject-object differentiation. This means that you perceive the objects of your awareness as something separate and different from yourself. This wrong view leads either to a sense of the world as a persecuting threat or as a source of things to acquire and conquer. This is ignorance, for as we have seen, anything that exists within your consciousness is necessarily already an aspect of yourself. True seeing is seeing all beings within yourself and yourself within all beings. Only when we are focused on the most superficial layer of reality does difference seem to be the most fundamental truth. Imagine, if you will, a massive continent with many mountains, a continent mostly submerged under an ocean, but with many of the mountain peaks poking above the surface of the water. A person who had never gone below the surface would see those mountains as separate, unconnected islands. But someone who has made the effort to explore the inner depths of the ocean would realize that there was only one landmass, extruding at various points into the air. In the same way, all manifest conscious beings are extrusions into the tangible world of the singular, continuous being that alone exists. This analogy is imperfect, as all are, because in truth, that one being has become the ocean of the tangible, perceptible world, as well as the beings within it. The analogy often used in the original tradition is that all perceptibles, anything that is perceivable, constitute the single body of that one being, and all perceivers constitute its single soul. Fuck me. I love that.
That's amazing,
That is
mate.
so powerful. Number 3, please, if you can resonate with that, beautiful people. Because that encapsulates, in a different way, what we have been speaking to in terms of wholeness, the wholeness of self. Because it's so amazing to realize that we are everything and everything is us. Is it not, Mark?
Mate, that you can tell when I'm quiet and I do that old kind of and I just have the pondering face. It's
I know that face, brother. I love that face.
It's really digesting. That's amazing, mate. I really resonate with that. I love talking about the peaks and the valleys of life. I love how one man's peak is another man's valley, and essentially they're always just an inverted perspective of each other. But I've never thought about it as that in that way, with poking up through the water and then having the courage to explore those depths. And that's just that analogy of life, mate. Like we talk about shining your own light, but we don't always talk about switching the light switch off sometimes and embracing the darkness. We're still stuck in that social stigma that darkness represents the baddie in the movie, and we shouldn't be cheering from that. But I love that Joe Rogan podcast, or the Joe Rogan clip when he spoke about being a hero in your own movie, and like we're always good and bad, and we're always poking up over the water, and we've always got that depth, and we can choose to climb or we can choose to submerge, but we've always got the choice, and it gets a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot clearer when we see that there's no separation. Everything is just this big, wonderful, universal. It's not a project; it's a masterpiece of entanglement. We're all part. There's no fragmented parts. I'm sure once I watch this live back again, I'll be able to articulate it a little bit better, because it's
You're articulating it well, brother.
It's got me in the feels, mate. I love that. I really, really love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the book is called Tantra Illuminated by Christopher D. Wallace. It is probably the most profound text outside of original tantric text on non-dual Shaiva Tantra, which is quite phenomenal. Yeah, quite phenomenal. Good morning to you. So, you know, it becomes, there are so many moving parts. Actually, I just want to say something. Adrian, brother, I just have a feeling that you and your lovely wife, Dina, should, if you possible, should come to this retreat that Mark and I are running as well. I just feel that, yeah, you're at a point in your life right now, brother, just intuitively that you get so much benefit. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. But yeah, just have a think about that, Adrian. But there are so many moving parts to self-love and self-care, right? There are so many moving parts to what it means to love self, to be connected to self, to be open and vulnerable with self. Like there are so many buzzwords in the world today, and self-love is one of them. Yeah, vulnerability is another one. But when we go really deep with what these words actually mean and how they can impact that, how the symbolism and the action, when we take action in alignment with the energy of these words or the etymological meaning of these words, it changes the way we move through life, right? Mark, as an example, like you were I see you as a beautifully intelligent man on many, many different layers, okay? And you know that we know things, we can know things on different layers, right? In different levels. And we can know something intellectually, but if we don't embody that or act on it, how does that actually affect us and our relationships and our connection to our own health as well?
We're closed. We're completely detached. That's not why we're here. That's just fear. That's just a fear, limited belief that's just keeping you stuck in your old ways. It's imperative. We've got to open up to that possibility, and we've got to open ourselves up to the wonderment of everything that's out there. You want to put that into practice so you've got that experiential feedback, for nothing else, for your own review, just to see whether that did work or it didn't work. And remember, the only thing that you're going to really, the criteria that you're checking that against, is you've got to make sure it's your values list and not someone else's opinion or things like that. But when you've got that experience for yourself and you're taking out, right, you're giving your own life the SWOT analysis, not compared to someone else's criteria of what's right for them. When you've got that experiential feedback, then you've got truth. Then you're not a philosopher. Everyone's still seeking the knowledge. Everyone's just still consumed by, give me all the information. It's not what we're here. We're here not to be happy. Happy is the byproduct of growing within the darkness, with going submerging deep into those dark waters that a lot of people don't have the courage to go, but you, for your own intuitive experiential learning, are going to do that. Not because you're better or worse than anyone else, because you're just tapping into your own intuitive way, and you know that the obstacle is the way. That's a great book, actually, Ryan Halliday, The Obstacle is the Way. Talks a lot about Stoic practices and a lot about Marcus Aurelius and things like that. Really, really good. It shows you that what's smacking you in the face, like a lot of people will just about turn and go back, and not back into themselves, where they would see that, yes, the obstacle is the way. They'll go back into an old way of being and back down the road that didn't serve them, rather than seeing that they can go over, they can go round, they can go under, they can smash through it, but they've got to just keep going. But they would never get that resolve, that resilience, that wonderment of what they're capable of doing if they never had the courage to try and experience it.
So there's a really interesting, deeply profound point around expressing courage in self and in one's life to experience that intellectual knowledge that is coming through, to fully embody that intellectual knowledge that is coming through, and to feel it in various layers. Absolutely, Nicole. I'm a big believer of our physicality being an extension of our spirituality. Look at number 4 in the comment box, please, if we can
Yeah.
resonate with that. Number 4 in the comment box, if we can resonate.
Yeah, Matt, I just think, mate, sure, Dr. Joe Dispenza says this, that knowledge without experience is philosophy, and experience without knowledge is ignorance. We need both. We need both.
And that speaks to the wholeness of self. The wholeness of self. Yeah. We also, we often feel so disconnected from self because we are fragmented by nature. And part of that is because we either have deep intellectual knowing without that embodied experience, or embodied experience without substance of wisdom and knowledge behind that.
Brilliant,
And
Sky.
we lose ourselves. Yeah, we lose ourselves in that space. You know, as human beings, that what makes us whole is that we are comprised of elements of go and flow, of be and do. And every human being has that. And when we negate one consistently and constantly for the other, we lose ourselves in that space. And this is something that we're going to speak to extensively at the retreat. We're going to really unpack these notions of go and flow, be and do, masculine and feminine. But it's not so much masculine and feminine because those terms can be confusing. Go and flow, be and do. These are energies, these are expressive states that every human being embodies, but we become lost in the translation of culture. We become lost in the translation of cultural clutter of life, of the busyness of life. And we are unable, Lana, we are already whole, but we forget. Absolutely we're whole, but we forget. And through our actions, we disconnect and distance ourselves from that embodied state of wholeness. From a conceptual perspective, absolutely we're whole. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. But what we must do is act in accordance with that wholeness, those principles of wholeness, and bring that balance into our lives, that harmony into our lives, that equilibrium into our lives, that homeostasis into our lives. And it's about recognizing that. It's about re-recognizing that. That's the key. It's not so much that we're not whole and we have to find wholness. It's that we have to rediscover our connection to our wholeness.
It's not 100%, mate. Yeah, I totally agree. It's not another thing that's kind of buzzwords, and I've caught myself saying it before as well. The difference between awake and aware. We are awake. That's when we become really aware that we're already aware, and awake that we're already awake, and aware that we're awake, and awake that we're aware. We realise that. But remember, every action and every behaviour we do runs the risk of the illusion of not being whole, or being fractured, because it's that sensory illusion that we think that we see it through this one box, where we're oblivious to this whole thing here, like the peak. If we just see that, we think it's an island, rather than seeing that it's part of this entanglement, this intertwined connectiveness that we've all got. So the universe always knows that we're whole through our actions, behaviours, and our daily to-dos, especially if you're in that entrepreneurial mindset, or you're a parent, or you're just a typical people pleaser. You forget that we're whole. You think you're nothing more than your sensory behaviours. So in that respect, that's where we kind of spiral down into the darkness. And for a lot of people that don't have the evolved consciousness, the guys on this thread, we see that as something that we want to get out straight away. And then when we deny, the why of that gets bigger. And it just forces you into that darkness. So yes, you've got to understand that whoever the grand creator is that put us together, he must have a good laugh at our expenses with these 5 senses that he's given us, because it consumes so much more. But when we transcend that consciousness, to go back to the first question that you posed about the physical health, when we have that real understanding and love and that balance between mental and emotional health, then we can connect to the true spirit. Then the evolvement of consciousness, that we raise the vibration. We're operating at a higher level. So
epic, brother, epic. Very deep, and I love your breakdown of that as well, because it really makes it something that's very much achievable in terms of living that truth, embodying that particular truth. I really feel that. So what I was thinking, Mark, was I've got a, hey baby, Hey, Jackie, what's happening? Where's Ren? Where's Ren Bay? Put her on.
Hey, babe.
Get her on.
2 seconds, mate. I'm just going to turn. Sam's got a heater on in this bedroom. I'm like a Brazilian barbecue in here.
Just get your gear off. Just get your gear off, man.
I'm telling you, mate. I'm about 2 seconds away from doing it. 2 seconds.
Just get your gear off. So what I'd like to do is maybe provide you. There's a heap of there's a heap of practices, many different practices that we can engage in that help us that draw us closer towards self-love. Okay, so I'm going to go through a few of them now, and maybe I don't know, 3 to 5. We'll start with 3 to 5. And maybe Mark can elaborate on each one as well. But let's start with the first one. The first one is creating a self-love ritual or a self-love practice. Yeah. That's what's super important, is being able to create a self-love practice. And this is very subjective. It's different for everybody. And it really has to do with, again, your highest values, what is important to you in life, what you resonate with, what you relate to, what experiences you can connect with. It could be self-pampering. It could be a form of self-care. Maybe you take yourself to get a massage once a week or once a fortnight or once a month. Okay, but don't underestimate the importance of intention, moving with intention, specifically to give yourself something that demonstrates to you that you love yourself. And again, it's not about, I'm going to buy myself a car, I'm going to buy myself a home. It's not about spending copious amounts of money on yourself. It's about the practice or the engagement. And it's a ritual. It's something that is regular for you, that is personal, that is connected. Mark?
Totally agree. They'll hear me say it every week, mate. It comes back to the values list, the values factor. We're not here to be miserable, guys. We're really not. So all the stuff that you're worrying about, I think sometimes a prerequisite step for that, depending on what angle you're coming in at or what level of readiness you're at. I think journaling is very good, especially when your mind is really busy and really over-consumed with to-dos or stresses or whatever. Sometimes just speaking about it to a friend and just getting that higher vibration and just getting it out and getting it off your chest is job one. But sometimes we don't like bothering other people, or we don't like to maybe be perceived as being silly, so we keep it in. So for your own part, I think get it out and on paper. Once it's gone, then you can go and you can get back to doing what it is that you love. I think that's always step one, mate. But I think sometimes we cloud that. So that's why I think journaling, that's been one for me actually this week, because I've actually forgotten what it is I enjoy. So I had to write it and get it out first, and then from there I gained the clarity to get back on to getting that.
Yeah, and so number 6 in the comment box, if we can all resonate with a practice, a ritual, a daily ritual of self-love. And Nicola says journaling is a great expression to be uncensored. Absolutely, Nicola, I completely agree with that. And what journaling also does is it gives us an opportunity to actually observe what we are feeling from a different perspective, because our primary physical sense organs, our eyes, are able to see the words that we are writing and feed that back into our brain. And our brain perceives that very differently from a neurological perspective. So journaling can be super, super powerful, yeah? Like super powerful. Did I miss out number 5? No. Did I?
It's usually 6, mate, is it not?
6 anyway. It's 6. I'm losing track of numbers. I'm entrenched here. I'm engrossed. Okay, so number 2, the second self-love practice, so to speak. And this is really important. Don't underestimate the power of this, okay? Is building a sound, connected, loving community around yourself. So important. Is the people that you choose to surround yourself with. Be very deeply deliberate with this. As much as we would like to think we can do everything ourselves, that we can cure ourselves, nothing needs to be cured, that we can fix ourselves, that we can move through pain on our own, yes, we need to. We need to be in that silence, that stillness of our own self, to hear the echoes of our own soul and heart. But we are relational beings. We must surround ourselves with people that are of value to us and that we can be of value to them. Mark, what are your thoughts there, brother? What are your feelings on that?
This has been a big thing for me, mate, for years. I swapped purpose for popularity a lot when I was younger. I wanted to be the go-to guy. I wanted to be the known guy for this, that, and other. And I had it for the majority of my life, but there was no real authentic relationships because I wasn't being authentic to myself. It was just a mirror image. And then when you get let down by these people because all of a sudden you've decided to grow and evolve in yourself and your values has maybe shifted away from the partying lifestyle or whatever it may be, you, as Scottish people, were very proud, we're very honest, and we're very loyal, sometimes to our detriment. But we need to understand that loyalty, no one's ever loyal to you as a person. They're loyal to the value set that you represent for them. So what you're talking about and what's meaningful to you, the stuff that they have no interest in, they will bow out. The stuff that you go, I could go for a pint with that guy, I could sit down and speak to that guy. All of a sudden we're magnetically attracted to each other. We're loyal to the value set. But we see it misinformed. We see that that person's let us down. So for me, I thought I was a very loyal person and I thought other people had wronged me in some way. And then I carry that on my back. But I think sometimes as you go through the journey of life, it's good to have people in your corner, but only if they're the right people, only if they love you for your values, only when they see you living in your voids and call you on it and say, listen, mate, get your ass back to the gym. Get your ass back to playing football. Go and hit a bag. Don't do it. Sam said that to me last week. She said, you need to just get the gloves back on and just go nuts with the bag. And nothing to do with technique, nothing to do with fitness or 12 3-minute rounds or whatever you want to do. Just go and let out some stuff and have fun with it again. Do spinning back fist and jump up and knee and bite it. Do whatever you need to do. Just get out, just have fun and play. And I was like, do you know what? I need to rediscover that joy. And sometimes it's just being yourself first and foremost if the right people aren't there. But sometimes we can get confused in that as well, and sometimes we're too busy focusing on the wrong people that we actually don't see that the right people are right there offering a hand as well. So we need to be gracious enough to accept that, mate. Yeah, do diligence, but you can't. You can't complain. Like if you don't want a limp, if you don't want to be walking with a limp, stop hanging with the lame. Choose your circle.
True. Yeah, choose your circle. Number 7. Beautiful people, number 7, for choosing your circle and choosing your circle wisely. Because remember, a wise, positive, enchanting, graceful circle is contagious and it will spill over into your energy field and into how you choose to behave and how you choose to move through life. And it will influence your belief systems, your models of reality, the way you view the world, the way you believe things to be, yeah? So the next one, in terms of a self-love practice is really begin to, I call it what's working. So what is working in life? Begin to focus your energies on what is working. Shift your perceptions from what is not working, from the despair, from the disconnection, from the pain, from the sadness. I'm not saying avoid it by any means. I'm saying stop harping on it for a moment and just switch your perspective, even if it's just for a few minutes or a few seconds, and ask yourself, make a list of what is working in my life right here and right now. What is connected for me? What is giving me grace and joy and elation and some form of happiness? That
Brilliant.
there will begin to shift the way you feel about yourself, the way you look at yourself, because sometimes we become so engrossed and so entrenched in what we are not doing right. What we're not doing right, or what we do not like about ourselves, or what we do not respect about ourselves. And we become down, we become depressed, we depress ourselves and our value. But know that doesn't exist in isolation. That state doesn't exist in isolation. It's just a state, it fluctuates. What happens is if we're able to focus on what is working in our lives, we begin to feel differently about ourselves. We begin to build ourselves up slowly. Mark, what do you feel about that, brother?
That's got me.
Yeah.
That's got me. I'm trying to compose myself. I can feel a wee bit misty-eyed here. That's me over the back, mate. That's a lot of it's. That's one. I'm obviously talking for personal experience here, but I think that's one over the piece for a lot of people really struggle with, because I think there's a lot of ancestral lineage and learned behaviours that we've seen with that, and we start to mirror ourselves back with parents or friends or other people, and then we hit these glass ceilings because we don't want to surpass our parents or people that we love, and we don't want to experience more joy or more money or more success or more connectedness or whatever it may be than them, which is bullshit, because they love us. They just want us to. It's actually our job in life. It's why we're here. It's the evolution of mankind. Is to take the torch and take it to a level that they couldn't, not because that they were incapable. It's just it was never their path to get there. In the same way that when we hit the hurdles and our limitations in life, our next generation and our spawn will come on and do the exact same. So that really got me, mate. I think it's definitely an old habit of mine. But again, the first step in the AAA batteries, I'm aware of it, so I'm just trying to allow myself to experience more joy, because I could change 10 people's lives, use 10 for an easy number, and 9 people give me amazing feedback and the one person doesn't. I know I'm very, very ingrained in focusing on that one rather than seeing the 9. Nexus was a massive example of that for me, but I think when you're wallowing in despair and you're focusing on repair, your growth is impaired.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said. And you're fractured and you're fragmented because you're not seeing the full picture of life. You're not seeing the wholeness of life. So number 8 in the comment box for that, people.
That was brilliant,
Steph. That's
Steph.
a big one. Thank you, brother. That was brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. That's focus on what is working. Well, I've developed this. I've cultivated this exercise. It's such a simple exercise, and we're going to present this at the retreat as well when we're doing when we're going into our self work. We're going to speak to this: what is not working in life, and what is working in life. How can we move into what's working in life and begin to cultivate that ideology, that perspective that brings us into focus, yeah? And it brings us into focus in times of despair and in times of need, when we need to be able to focus. Now, this doesn't mean we negate our feelings or we negate our pain or we don't immerse ourselves in sadness. But if it's too long, too often, too much, it becomes debilitating, yeah? It really burns us, So next one, a couple more and we'll wrap up, yeah? Knowing with everything that you are, that your body, your physicality is a loving vessel. Your physicality is here to serve you. We often treat our physical bodies with disrespect. Drugs, alcohol, negative thoughts, externalized stress. We put ourselves in precarious positions, in dangerous positions. We don't respect our bodies enough and give our bodies balance. We don't feed our bodies nutrient-rich food. We don't move our bodies as they are meant to be moved. And we often become stagnant and rigid in our bodies. And this is indirectly and directly telling ourselves that we do not love ourselves. We do not love it. We often look at our bodies and we say, oh, I don't like the way my arm looks, or the way my bum looks, or the way my chest looks, or the way my boobs look, or my face or my nose or this or whatever it may be. We're in this constant comparison. And self-esteem we have low self-esteem because self-esteem is a comparative practice, an externalized comparative practice that sees no end and brings us no fruits. It bears no fruits of wisdom for us. And we begin, exactly right, Nicola, we begin to reject parts of ourselves. So respecting the body, because the body is a beautiful vessel for growth. Our physicality is an extension of our spirituality and our inner self. And that begins to transform the way we treat ourselves. Brother, your thoughts and feelings, please.
I'll give you a real physical feeling just now. Since you started talking like that, my left lat started going like that. Started really twitching, going berserk. And I've got a lot of pain points down my left-hand side of my body. Now, a lot of people that kind of do some of this work can get caught up in the whole feminine side, masculine side, and then a lot of people get stuck. They use it as a crutch to get stuck in the story. That, oh, I've got this thing tight in my chest here because my mum never gave me lollies when I was 5. It's nothing to do with that. I mean, it could be to a point, but it's more nurture, left side, protection, right hand side. And if you're not nurturing yourself and looking after that side of things, the body will talk to you. Now, less conscious beings are more analytical males, shall we say, just say, oh, it's that, and everything's got a real logical reason behind it. But for years, I thought that, sorry, people are messaging me here, I'm just going to shut this over. I thought it was because I felt as if my mum was always on my back. And it's nothing to do with my mum. Absolutely nothing. She is to a point, but it's never like that. It's always loving stuff. And all this is representing my left-hand side just now is that I have not been honouring my body and nurturing myself. I've been caught up in this whole, I'm in business, I wake up and I start doing business. And I've completely forgotten some of my practices and the things that I stand for. And if I'm really vulnerable and honest, the stuff that I actually teach my clients, I'm not walking my talk.
But that's how we grow, brother.
And energetically, they'll know me. They don't. It doesn't matter where I verbalise or not. People, as we've spoken about, we're all interconnected, cellular, energetically. Everyone knows this anyway. But it's not about them. It's about self and bringing that back. But it's as I've started talking about it, it's stopped. There's something in that.
You're verbalising it. You're expressing it. You're working through it. You're moving through it.
Energy that's talking to me. You start allowing, accepting, and being aware of it, and all of a sudden it says thank you, and it can go. So your body's not trying to punish you guys, and this whole
never
pain, pleasure, polarized way. Like, pain and pleasure are ever present. If you've got pain in your body, you've got the pleasure of pursuit of getting beyond it. It's giving you purpose.
Definitely, and our body will always give us purpose. And when we connect to our body, it is such a deep. It is a gesture of self-love. Zian, thank you so much for your lovely words. Yeah. So something to add to that, which is quite interesting, because you were speaking to the masculine, feminine. You mentioned the left side, right side, and there's great relevance in that to some degree, especially with respect to the brain as well. And we talk masculine, feminine. We can just talk go and flow, but we can talk yin and yang as well. So the yin is very much the left side, is the more nurturing side, the softer side, the fluid side. The yang is more rigid, I suppose. It is just a little bit different. Yeah, is the antithesis of that. And it's interesting that when we're you were going to say something?
No, mate, just me playing my moustache.
Okay. It's
nurturing the body.
Yeah, no, that's good. So issues within that sort of area through here can even symbolize inflexibility in certain areas of life. So perhaps, symbolically, asking where you're inflexible in life. And that's for all of us out there. Like if we're having issues in that upper back and that upper back shoulder area, is there an inflexibility in our lives that we are not really, or something that we are obsessing about, so we're inflexible on our focus as well? Yeah, but just something as a side note, that's all.
Totally agree. I love that, mate. You know I love my metaphysics. And can I just say a massive thanks to Sky, who's on the thread, amazing client of mine, and that was actually a very welcomed gift. Was The Secret Language of Your Body, if you're familiar with that book. Fantastic. We had it on electronic format. It was on Sam's iPad, and that was usually a lot of her go-to. She would speak to clients that come for treatments, and that was a little welcome gift that Sky gave me, and that gets pulled out quite a lot. It's a beautiful book.
I think I've actually got that one here in my bookcase. It could be in my other bookcase, but there's Secret Language of the Body. It's really good. Who's the author?
It's
a lady, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, what's her surname? I'll come back to me. I'll get it. Sky will probably pop up.
I always think it starts with M, her last name, but I could be wrong. But yeah. Number 9 in the comment box for the body. Number 9 in the comment box for really treating your body with respect, treating your body with Ina Segal. That's the one.
Ina Segal. Steven Seagal's mum.
Steven Seagal, that's right. Or his sister. Thank you, Sky. Number 9 for the body, for nurturing the body, for loving the body, for connecting to the body. And this is an interesting one in terms of self-love as well. And we call this one, I'm trying to think what I want to call this one. The clean out. The clean out. Yeah. So this is a self-love practice is pretty epic. And it's very simple. Identify what no longer serves you in life. Get it the fuck out. Clean it out of your existence, out of your being, out of your space, to make space and room for new experiences. For experiences that you value, for experiences that are deeply connected, that you wish to bring into your life. Oh, hi, Michelle. How are you? I don't remember Michelle was on. Michelle's on. Yay. Ina Segal.
Brilliant.
Ina Segal. Yeah. Ina Segal. Yes, that's the one. Yep. It's such a good book. I'm sure I've got it back there. I'm looking at it. I'm sure it's that yellow cover just back there. Anyway, actually, you know what? Let me get it, because I can show people the cover as well.
While Steph's doing that, I'll show you some bedside reading that I've got just now, going back to an old favourite. You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay. That's another good one. And as I've just been trying to bring it back to basics, another one is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Fantastic books. Very, very similar. In fact, let's go over to uncharted territory. I'm not usually allowed at this side. This is my missus' side, which she got. The Universe Has Your Back is a great book. The Signature of All Things. Light is the New Black. There you go. Get your shit together. I'm usually not allowed over that side, so enjoy.
I can't find. It's not in this bookcase. I think it's in my other bookcase. But that's cool. It's all good. But yeah, cleaning out your closet, guys. So cleaning out your room, cleaning out your space. Yeah. And that means your physical space as well, not just your emotional space, your psychological space, your beliefs. Like it's a complete clean out. It's a complete overhaul of self, and really identify what no longer serves you in life. And this creates space for self-love. And it is, Nicole, it's a decluttering of life. It's a decluttering of self. Mark, you want anything to add to that, brother, that last point for the evening?
Yeah, I love that,
self-love.
mate. I love that you've brought it back to all areas of health as well. I think we touched on it a little bit earlier with like choosing your circle. That can be part of decluttering it. Let it go. Jim Rohn says you are who the product of the five people you spend your time and your space with. So choose it wisely. That's a good physical component. Another little practice that I like doing, and we'll talk about this in the retreat. It's going to be a good balance because we're going to go real deep with the lectures, guys. And I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward to just kind of facilitating the majority of Steph's stuff here. We come off the live last week and he just went just on the whiteboard and it started. It's like Guy Fawkes, fireworks just going off. I was like, this is going to be brilliant. And it allows me just to get back into that fun, jovial self. So we're going to have some cool manifestation techniques. And one that I use is a wish list. Is you write down what no longer say. In fact, my wife is actually going to do this in one of the moon rituals. We're going to do it in day one because there's actually.
Is Sammy available? Where is she?
Let's get her in here. She's watching Game of Thrones, but
is she? I've got to catch up on an episode or two.
She's away. She's away at the toilet, mate. I'll shout her in a minute. Don't want to follow her.
I better give her some privacy there.
But yeah, like you get like little wish jars. You put down all the stuff that you want in one of them, and you put down stuff that you no longer want, and you just let it go. But she takes that another level. Actually, she being the white witch that she loves burning stuff. She says it's part of the witchy practices, mate. I just think it's because she's from Liverpool and she just likes burning shit. She's just reliving her youth. But it is, I told you about this a couple of weeks ago, mate. It was really cool, that last big full moon out there, been back just under the stars and just kind of letting things go. And the real depth of the baggage we let go, like those pieces of paper went really up. The ones that I wasn't that charged with took a little while to ignite and go, but the ones that was like that, oh my God, it was like a firework. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Sammy.
awesome, man.
Eh? Steph's requesting your presence. No. For 2 seconds. It's to do with the retreat. Eh? Please. There's 100,000 people saying yes.
Yeah, 100,000 at least.
No, I don't know what he's what to ask you. I can't answer it. And you come, you're beautiful.
I'm like...
I look like Gollum compared to you, and you come, you're fine.
This is the power. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Hey, Sam, how are you?
Well, I'm watching Game of Thrones drinking beer. I'm like, I can't go on a live feed.
It's okay. we need to liven this feed up. Mark and I are boring. We're not very attractive. We're bringing in the big guns, right? So we're just about to wrap up, though, seriously. So I just want you to, if you don't mind, not to put you on the spot, but just to maybe even speaking just a little bit to what are some of the exciting points in terms of the self-love practices that we're going to engage in at the retreat, but maybe something that just to bring in your flavor as well. What is something that you engage in that really helps you ground and connect to self when you're feeling a little bit disconnected or down or not quite in tune with self? Yeah. How come all these lovely comments about Sam is gorgeous, Sam is, what about Mark and I?
Because it's girl power. I can see it's all chicks. Okay. Well, actually, I heard you guys just speaking a little bit about the moon and stuff that we're going to be doing down at the retreat. So in terms of, for me, in terms of self-love and the practices I use around that, I feel incredibly connected to the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, the universe. So for me, being able to be in tune with the moon phases and the different cycles of a lot of the planets, that helps ground me, because there's 2 reasons I love it. One of them is for some reason, I really like being made to feel insignificant. Like I love being made to feel small and part of a bigger plan. And every time I work with the moon phases and anything to do with astrology or anything to do with the earth, actually, it makes me feel like a small part of a big system, which is a really beautiful feeling for me. But it also makes me feel incredibly important at the same time, because I'm like, we're a human, but we're still here as part of nature, and we all work with cycles and phases. So that's what grounds me. And in terms of like self-care, that's one of the best things I think I can do for myself, because the more in tune I feel with all the systems that are around me that Mother Nature has, the more I just feel the more connected I am to myself, which helps me then, because this is what I do with other people. So it helps me fulfill my purpose better, because I can then teach people what I'm doing, what helps me. And then everybody feels part of a collective system. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam.
I just love you, wife.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sam. You can stay or you can go. It's up to you. I think you should stay personally, but that's the audience seems to be warm
Fuck
to
Jon
you, Sam.
Snow. Steph and Mark's where it's at.
It's just getting good.
Is it? Okay, well, we're wrapping up now anyway, but I just wanted, I really appreciate that, and I know Mark does too. So, beautiful people, if you have any questions on this retreat that we're running, as we're super excited about on the 8th of September, there's a few spots left. Just message Mark or I or Sam directly. Comment on this thread if you want. Adrian, if you're still there, brother, I'm going to send you a message in a moment. And I'll CC Mark in that as well, because he'll be able to answer any questions too. Adrian's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years. So, yeah, people, self-love, just so important. It is so important. So we're going to deep dive into this as a practice of self-care and health and so forth, and at the retreat. But beyond that, both Mark and I have, and Sam as well. I said, do you do many live feeds, Sam, yourself? A little bit, yeah.
It's on the list.
It's on the list, But Mark's on a few times a week. I'm on a few times a week. You can catch us both there as well. We'll be on again soon in a couple of days. I believe Mark will probably be on tomorrow. I may even be on tomorrow as well because I'm traveling Thursday. So not to miss a live feed. Yeah. Melbourne people, actually, just while I got here, Melbourne people running a sacred sexuality. Sorry, I'm speaking at a sacred sexuality summit in Melbourne. So if you're from Melbourne, attend that on the 3rd of September on the Sunday. And I'm also running a workshop on conscious relating and conscious communication as well on the 6th of September in Melbourne too. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Lots of love to you. Thank you so much. But hit us up for this retreat if you have any information. If you have any questions on information about the retreat. But of course, lots of love and lots of self-love to you. Yeah. And Mark, if you want to say anything, brother, go for it. Sam.
No, mate, I've really enjoyed this tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, AC, love. It's been a really beautiful live feed, Mark. It's been awesome, man.
Pity we never get that on Facebook Live. Put me in the fucking spot. It's all growth, darling. It's all growth. No, mate, I've really, really, really enjoyed it tonight. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I've not been sleeping well. I think there's something in that with me that when the sun comes up, I'm fine. And I think that's that. I have no problem showing my light. When the darkness falls and the shadows come, it's obviously it's reflecting something in me. And when I can feel it starting to come down, I start to get a bit wobbly. But tonight, I'm actually really calm, and I know I'm going to have a good sleep. I think this was brilliant. It's that selflessness that you talk about, mate. I have no problem transcending through pain as I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with me. Yeah. And one of the ways I do that is usually by doing lives or blogs or something like that. I try and just get my shit out and try and teach while I'm learning from myself. But that's a lot of stuff that you've said, mate. It's just been applicable to you, like decluttering life and choosing your circle. You've definitely come into that. It's opened up my sphere to so many amazing, beautiful people. And I think this life has just really brought back to the essence of that. It's all just a self-love game. It's all just a whole love game, and just having gratitude for the little things and just getting back to basics, mate. And I really appreciate it tonight. Thank you, mate.
I appreciate it too,
I think I get more out of it than arguably anyone else. It was brilliant. Thank you.
Beautiful. Oh, so do I. Feel the same way, brother. I get so much from these. Nicola, to answer your question, Martin Ball's not running the retreat with us, but hopefully Mark may be able to shed some light on this. But hopefully Martin may be there.
If there's enough people power, Martin Ball will be there, because very quickly, without going off on one, guys, like what we see in another, good or bad, is just a mirror of ourselves. And I've been having a lot of conversations with Martin, saying to him, I'm worried about you, mate. You're working too much just now. You need to slow down a little bit. You're just constant, relentless in your purpose, and you're going to burn out. And that's me just talking to myself. But I do actually see that in him a little bit. He's a massive heart, massive wealth of knowledge as well. He actually minimises himself in that and thinks that he's not got a lot. He knows a lot, and he's more a feeling person anyway. That's where his gift is. And I think if we tag him enough and make enough noise and just say, Martin Ball, you deserve a holiday, brother, I think he'll get there. I would love him to come as a friend.
So would I. I share the same sentiment.
He's a beautiful guy, man.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. I believe that as well, and I know that he's a stellar human being. So beautiful people, we're going to say goodbye, I think, and that is a beautiful live feed from my perspective. I got a lot from that, the interaction, the wisdom shared. Mark, your wisdom, brother. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a blessing to be here. We'll both see you again in a couple of days. Many blessings to you. And one thing that you can do right now, or today and tomorrow, that you can start on your self-love practice. Yeah. So go ahead and just do that. Just one thing, one action step. That's all it needs to be. And embody that. Feel it fully. Embrace it. Live it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, beautiful
people. Good night, guys.
Many blessings. Take care.
I'm away to annoy Sam in Game of Thrones.
Go for it. See you guys.
See you later.
See you, brother.